2 men, 2 philosophies, 2 choices, 1 decision. You decide.
Look, in case you don't know, you don't just put a few feathers on a dinosaur and say, let's go, man, try it, it won't hurt too bad. Okay, it's not quite that simple. Dinosaurs are very, very different from birds. Somewhere along the line, if he's going to turn from a dinosaur to a bird, his front legs are going to have to turn to wings. Which means, at say 50% of the way, he's got a half leg and a half wing. It's not enough to fly yet, but now he can't run very good either. Very well, Jan, English teacher, right? So who's going to feed this critter? He can't run and he can't fly. Think the other animals are going to bring him food and feel sorry for him while he's slowly evolving into something else? See, in order for evolution to work, all of the intermediate stages have to be superior to the original. Nobody's ever demonstrated that. Not one time has that been demonstrated, that it's even possible. Secondly, we never see any animal produce a different kind of animal. Nobody ever observes any of this. It's pure fiction. They make it up.
All right. Long article. I'll read the rest of it later. Who's on the phone there, John?
I believe it's Jared.
Hello. Yes, Jared. Where did consciousness come from in free will?
I don't think we have free will.
You don't think we have free will, so we're just animated meat, and we're going to do what we're going to do, and we're evolved, right?
Yep.
Okay. So why'd you call?
Because I wanted to argue with you.
Well, then you had free will to call.
No, it was programmed in.
It's programmed in.
So you didn't really want to. You have to.
Well, the action of wanting to do something is also programmed in.
Oh. And you're sure?
I'm pretty sure.
How can you?
I've never heard a convincing philosophical argument to the contrary.
But how could you be even sure about that?
Just how it seems.
I don't know. Okay. Well, go ahead. That's probably not why you called. I'm assuming it's not.
It's not.
Okay.
I didn't know you were talking about that, actually. Do you still have the image of the Pagacetus, Rhodocetus, Durodon, Orca thing that I had sent you before?
I have it in my mind. I don't think I have it. I mean, I saw them yesterday. Yeah, the 4 different ones with the different lengths.
That's probably good enough. Can we kind of finish up that discussion first before we go
Sure.
into the topic? Okay.
Sure.
So what I was getting at is, do you think that all 4 of these things belong to distinctly different kinds?
Do you want to give the link so others can...
I just posted it back on your Instagram.
No, but Jared wants to give it so people can look at the picture. Is it something anybody can look at? Is it on your website or?
Yeah, you sent the JPEG of the whales, Jonathan?
Yeah, I can go ahead. It's www.math.dart, D-A-R-T, mouth.edu /tilde, which is a side word, squiggly mark, just above your tab key.
Called a tilde?
Yeah. AQUISH/temp/whales.jpg. So it's kind of long, but yeah, it's there.
Temp. Okay.
Probably shorter than the
Okay, I'm looking at the Pagacetus. Yes, I have the 4 with the blue and red lines. Very pretty.
Right. Okay. And so about the kinds issue, you believe in this idea of kinds. So I'm just curious, do you think these things belong to 4 different kinds or 3 kinds or?
Oh, that'd be tough. I would say probably 4 different kinds. Yes, I would say you could make a similar argument with lining up, like I did in yesterday. I mentioned the fork, the knife, the spoon, and the spork.
Okay. Do you think that Rhodocetus was a land mammal or an aquatic mammal?
Rhodocetus, from looking at the skeleton, it's a little difficult to tell. You'd probably have to have an anatomist tell you. I mean, there are, like crocodiles, if you just found the skeleton, would you say it's land or water? Well, the truth is it can go either one.
Right.
A lot of animals go either one. Hippos go either one,
Yeah, amphibious, right. And
sure.
That's exactly what they think Rhodocetus was amphibious.
Okay, so we have a lot of animals today that are amphibious, and they're not evolving into anything else.
Okay, so do you think the Rhodocetus was on board the Ark or not?
Well, if Noah took 2 of each kind, he did not have to take the water-dwelling animal, so if it turns out Rhodocetus was a water-dwelling creature, he would not have to take it on the Ark.
But if it's amphibious, does that count as a water creature or a land creature?
And see, that's the type of question that biologists ought to be arguing about. Instead of trying to argue, did we all come from a rock, and was it a male or female rock, they should be arguing about, where is the kind barrier? Now, that's a legitimate, what's the name of that, Jonathan, that website? Or?
Well, the whole field of research is baraminology.
Baraminology,
yeah.
The Hebrew word baramin, which means kind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, biologists say they don't think there is such thing as a kind in any kind of definable sense.
There are some who do think there is a kind, so that's...
The vast majority of paleontologists and biologists do not agree with that.
But they think there is a species.
No, not really.
So
species is a convenient term to describe, specific groups of animals that have specific forms.
Okay, so if there's no such thing as kind, there's no such thing as species, what's the argument about?
Okay, there is a such thing as species, but it's blurry. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not easy to define them because of the fact that speciation occurs.
Well...
But you think that kind, whether or not you, Kent Hovind, can explain it or describe each kind, you think that this thing is a rigorous, concrete thing. Like there are kinds, like a certain number of kinds.
Yeah, I don't know how many kinds. I would guess from what many people have said, about 8,000 basic kinds of animals exist on the planet.
Okay.
That's certainly an estimate. I think it's reasonable. And I think that if you lined up 100 different animals, I could get a 5-year-old. I could get my granddaughter, who's not even 3 yet, could pick out the ones that are in the same kind in most cases.
Yeah, if you set it up for her in a way that makes it obvious. But as I've said before, I could fool her into choosing two things to be the same kind that you think are not the same kind, like humans and chimps.
Or even if a young person saw a bat and a bird, would they put that as the same kind?
They might. It depends. See, they're not distinguishing between reproductive compatibility like you are. They don't understand the concept of kind. They're looking at things and they're judging by their similarity.
Right. So let's take a 10-year-old instead.
Okay.
They would certainly be able to properly categorize the vast majority of animals. There might be a few tough ones, like where does a platypus come in?
Right.
Or where does a seahorse come in? The only fish that swims in the upright position and the male hatches the babies. And it's an oddball one, you got to admit.
Oh, definitely.
There are a lot of oddball creatures that, to me, show the intelligence of the creator and really ought to cause a headache for the evolutionist.
The intelligence of the creator?
What did the seahorse evolve from?
A fish.
In the fish that it evolved from, did the female lay the eggs and swim in vertically, and now how did it change that?
Well, I don't know what paleontology has to say about the reproductive habits of early fish, so I can't really answer the question.
But you know they could make up a story. Now that we know.
Paleontologists aren't in the habit of making up stories.
Paleontology in general is an art, not a science.
It's definitely a science.
Well, I know that's your opinion, but
no,
it's mostly stories.
That's a fact. Anything that ends, anyway.
If it ends with ology, it's a fact.
That's not quite true. I shouldn't say that. That's not quite true.
Good,
because psychology, I wouldn't call it science.
Yeah, Christology, the study of Christ. Anyway, go ahead.
That it usually means a study if it ends with that. But paleontology is recognized as a science in every university in the world. This is just fact.
I think we're getting off on a bunch of tangents.
Yeah, so they tell them they need to call me. I would argue with that, but go ahead.
The point is, I'm trying to kind of argue paleontology with you here, and I'm trying to see. Okay. So the point is, paleontologists can't figure out what your definition of kind is because you won't give it to them.
I've given it to them hundreds of times. I'll give it to you again right now.
You haven't given it to them in any kind of rigorous way. They can't look at bones in the rock and tell what kind the bones belong to.
That is correct.
And why is that?
Because there's not enough data there.
No, it's because your definition is not airtight enough.
Okay.
You can't tell reproductive compatibility from fossils.
Have you ever heard of the Tasmanian wolf?
Yeah, I have.
What is they think is extinct, but it actually may not be. There have been a few sightings in the last 10 years that kind of... Okay, but let's assume you found only the skeleton of a Tasmanian wolf, and you found only the skeleton of an American wolf.
Fossilized?
Fossilized.
Okay.
You would never know the Tasmanian wolf is pouched.
Marsupial.
Marsupial.
No, I don't think that's true. I think that actually marsupials exhibit other morphological characteristics.
In the skeleton? Are there skeletal differences between a marsupial?
Yes, there are. Because the way that the muscles attach to the pubic bones is different.
Okay. But...
No, I don't know what the details are. I'm pretty sure that you can do that.
Well, that may be true. That would be interesting.